Civil rights at the DOJ, Harvey Dillon, responded with this. New York, consider this your official notice from the Justice Department. We will not tolerate discrimination based on skin color. It is illegal. Civil rights is paying very close attention. Now, Mamdani responding, he's standing by her. He said, we made the decision to have Sia Weaver serve as our executive director for the mayor's office to protect tenants, to build on the work that she had.
Hey, I'm going to stop it real quick. Hey, Daryl, so before I even get into this, I'm going to answer this comment real quick. Because I'll totally forget it and start rolling. My apologies, man. You said, in your opinion, what market segment is private equity firms targeting right now between real estate, fast food, and casual food, dine-in senior assisted living communities, or AI data centers? Senior living is going to be big. It's been big for the last 5 years. It's going to get bigger, I think, over the next 5-10 years. Senior living is probably one of the biggest areas right now for private equity funds to target. And I knew it was actually big when I was listening to, there was a report, and Robert Kiyosaki was actually talking about it, how they started diverting a lot of their assets over to building senior living projects, taking raw land and building it from the ground up. Right when I was listening to that, within a matter of probably a month or two, and I'm in East Cobb out here in Atlanta, outside of the city of Atlanta, 2 senior living pieces popped up like literally less than 5 minutes from me. But you know what's so crazy about that senior living play? There's no market cap when it comes to rent, when it comes to monthly. I've seen those senior living places do a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. 1-bedroom, one bath. My wife called me. She walked into it. My wife's in sales too. She's doing a sales call, and she had to meet with them. She said, man, a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, almost like a studio, $2,500 a month. And they're paying it. Matter of fact, they were sold out. And the whole building had about 115 units, I think, 120 units, somewhere around there. Senior living is huge. You don't need to even develop land for it. You could take a house and convert it. You could take a subdivision, convert. Senior living is huge. The data play, I think, is the second largest, but I don't know if it's a private equity play. But I do know in some places like Atlanta, outside of Atlanta, going into South Georgia, we're seeing a lot of those studios convert and stop because they're not making money as studios no more. They're going to the UK. They going wherever they're going. Start to convert over to data centers. So that is a huge play. But that data center play, you're talking about thousands of acres, hundreds of thousands of acres, big, where you can get a senior living center under 10 acres and you can build it up from there. I haven't seen anything when it came to a rush on fast food, on casual food dining. I haven't. It's really just been more senior living and data centers. That's been the 2 biggest plays right now on the corporate private money equity side. And any of the private guys that contact me, because they contact me I always get it. Always get, hey, we're looking to buy. These are just people that either work for larger, they're trying to get the deal so they can just assign it to them, or get the deal so they can flip it to them, or just sometimes they're in-house looking for it, but they're always looking for stuff, which I've seen, where they can now convert it into some type of senior living establishment, something like that, or they'll do the single family. Yeah, it's like that. But multifamily also has been one of the biggest plays too for private equity firms. Multifamily has been a huge play. And I keep saying multifamily is not going away. Even when we look at commercial loans right now, which is crazy in the commercial market, some people believe it's tanked. I believe it's not. It did tank it, but it's coming back. But when you talk about just it as an asset in itself, it's not going to stay down. It's not going to stay down long at all.
Done to protect tenants across the city. We were already seeing the results of that work. So Couple of points here. She was nominated for the City Planning Commission in 2021. Jumaane Williams, public advocate, nominated her. The City Council of New York City would not confirm her because they felt that she was too radical. The tenant protection job does not. It's an appointment.
Radical, by the way.
It's an appointment. But the Washington Post editorial board, guys, writes this: how she plans to navigate the little problem of constitutionally protected property rights remains unclear. But the elevation of someone with such ugly and racialized views into a position of authority in America's biggest city, fresh evidence Mamdani wasn't joking when he said during his inauguration, no apology for what we believe. And I have more posts.
Can you explain what she's talking about, Cheryl? I mean, if you're talking about, she says that we are going to have to rethink our relationship with our property, going from individual to collectivism. What does that mean? Are you saying that we're supposed to share our home with people we don't know? What is she saying?
They want the city to take over property. That is the ultimate goal. I'm going to say it now. That's what they want, Maria. They've talked about it. Remember, this is the same mayor who said as a candidate that he wanted to tax white neighborhoods.
Yeah. And by the way, have you ever heard the phrase POC?
I have.
People of color?
I have.
Okay.
I've done a lot of work on.
I didn't know that was like used that way.
Well,
POC. I mean, just say people of color.
Look, when people tell you who they are.
I'm not even gonna laugh at that, bro.
Believe them
Listen
the
to them.
first time.
You know, I mean, this is not a surprise. This is not new. This is exactly who he said he was going to be. This is the kind of people he surrounded himself with. And a lot of people said, how could this possibly happen? Well, it happened, and here we are.
Maria, I can kind of answer your question here. Something else I found in her 2021.
Okay, good.
This is an op-ed.
Yeah,
Here she wrote, as landlords exit the market using state action to acquire properties and leverage disinvestment to convert thousands of homes into publicly and democratically controlled land housing. She wrote that in 2021. By the way, Eric Adams.
So you don't have any rights to your home after you worked your life to buy a home. It's your home, and now you're talking about they're going to just redirect it and be governed by the state.
Well,
This is the fairness narrative that so many people have bought into, that it's unfair, that some get and some don't. So let's spread the wealth. He said he was a Democrat.
So this is about to end. Hold on, let me let this
socialist.
finish.
This
I'm
is
gonna
what
tell you
he
what I think.
is. This is what he believes. This is what he's going to try and act. I don't think it's going to be possible for him to put it through, but
Well, the Constitution might be a problem.
So the biggest thing with this, to me, it's a setup. The reason I say it's a scam, you're looking at the taxes for these properties in Atlanta, in New York, extremely high. It's crazy. If you can't put renters in and you have caps on your rental rates, what you can charge for rent, it's going to affect your taxes because you can't pay your tax bill. Now, there's some people, they can carry that for an extended period of time. We see it already. New York has a ton of vacant apartments that are just sitting down there. When I was looking at some of these pictures and videos, man, one particular one of this property manager walking through a New York apartment that hadn't been leased out. And it had been like that for the last 2 years, just crap lying around. It's like the people lived there and just, they were there, they had to leave, and they just left most of their stuff or junk just lying around. So now you've got blight, you've got all this decay that's starting to take place because you cap the rents. They can't go past a certain amount. But the reason I say this is a scam also, they don't turn around and give them an incentive for them to actually do caps on their rent. There should be some incentive when it comes to like your tax bill on a property. Because what is it? We want to make profit. We want to be able to cover our tax bill. We want to be able to do those things. It makes it harder to do those things when you cap it and then you turn around and you attack it based on the taxes. And New York has a huge issue when it comes to taxes, man. That Manhattan downtown area, the tax bill, I had a cousin that actually sold her brownstone and moved to Atlanta. And I knew when she bought the brownstone how much she paid for it. And she had only owned it for about, I think like 8 years. That's a good time, 7, 8 years. But her tax bill during that time, she was like, Leon, that taxes is freaking high. The taxes get insane. So that's a brownstone, three-story brownstone, and she had 2 renters, first on the bottom, all the way at the top, and she's in the center. She made great money in doing that, but at the end of the day, she was still capped by how much she can charge the renters upstairs and downstairs, but her tax bill stayed the same. So now he's coming in and saying, hey, if you don't get this right, if you don't conform, we're going to end up having to take the property. If you don't fix it, if you don't eliminate the blight, the decay, you don't incentivize it. Incentives are what drives development. Like, we don't do certain things if we're not incentivized. And we do certain things that we're not incentivized to. But honestly, when it comes to business, you build, you buy, you develop where the incentives are. So if they're doing incentives, that's like that green approach. When they were giving incentives for green, that Green Deal, everybody was getting into it. People were getting, oh yeah, electric cars, all of that. He has yet to come out with some level of incentive to get landlords moving in a direction that he wants. So I believe the reason why he won't do it, knowing it makes sense to do it, offer any type of incentive, is because he wants the property. The government has the ability to do eminent domain, take a property for a reason, right? That they find or they deem justified based on their guidelines. And whether they're building a road going through an area and this house lies right in the middle of a freeway where a freeway is going to be, by eminent domain, we're going to pay you market price. But he's not even talking about paying market price or anything like that, just taking their property because it's sitting down there. But the cap rates are the reason why it's sitting down there. And the high taxes are the reason why he's not doing anything to it. He's got to cover the tax bill.
Joining us now, New York City Apartment Association CEO and former New York City Assemblyman, Kenny Burgos. Kenny, fantastic to see you. I would describe you as a liberal, and I don't mean that as an insult. You know Sia and Zohran Mamdani. Is she as far left as she comes across in these tweets she tried to delete?
Sia Weaver's been a fixture in state legislature and New York politics for as long as I've been around, and I've been in New York politics over a decade now. And she has been very consistent in her views in housing policy, consistent with what we've seen in tweets and in media, what's recently come out. It's only up until yesterday that she supposedly regrets these comments. She's been pretty consistent over the years.
So she clearly is no fan of landlords, who, by the way, are the people who provide the places where most New Yorkers live in this city. She's ideologically way out there. Is she technically and executively good enough to get done all of the things she thinks she wants to do? Or is she somebody who talks a big game?
To actually say that home ownership is a weapon of white supremacy, to me I think is ignorant and is stupid. I don't think that home ownership is the American dream anymore. But it's not a weapon of white supremacy. If anything, I think it's the most freest and liberal thing that you can do as an American citizen is to buy a home, to build a homestead, like to have a place for your family to live. To me, that's it right there. Like that statement, when I saw her make that statement, when I heard that statement, it being a weapon of white supremacy, I realized, I said, this lady, she doesn't quite understand what she's advocating against. She doesn't quite understand it. And if I'm correct, I think her family owns like $1 million property, $1.4 or $1.2 million house.
But she's not going to make anything horrendous happen in this city.
Well, let me be clear. Sia was one of the main architects of the 2019 rent laws that completely decimated New York City's housing stock, and specifically the rent-stabilized housing stock. So I won't go as far as saying she's not capable. She is, because she has accomplished some pretty detrimental policies already in New York State. She's now just been given an official title from activists to now a title within City Hall. My concern is you couple Mayor Mamdani's goal of a rent freeze with Sia Weaver's past and goal of taking away private ownership, and you have a recipe for disaster here in New York.
to own real estate should be a privilege. It should be something that you work and you obtain through putting your effort. Housing is a requirement for everyone. I mean, I'm a believer that everyone should have a roof over their head. You know, when I drive down through Atlanta and I see some of these guys living underneath bridges and they're living in tents, I don't believe that. I mean, I believe there should be a place for them to live. Every person should have a place for them to rest their head. But to own a place, to be the owner, to benefit from the appreciation, that's not something that we just give to people because they want it. So to say that property should be a collective good, it's a play on words, because property should be a collective good, but property ownership shouldn't be something that's just freely given to everybody. If you can get into it through your credit score and through your income, I'm like all for it. You should get it. But for some people, they don't even need to have it, or they shouldn't have it. They don't even take care of their rental that they already have. One of the biggest things was before we even got our property was how well do we take care of our actual rental, like that we're living in. We didn't own the rental. We just rented the rental. So let's treat it like we live, like this is our house, with some level of care. We don't need to have the landlord. If he said we can paint the wall, let's paint it, and let's do our painting here so that the place looks great when we hand it back. So not everybody has that mindset. Okay. So to use that wording, I think is kind of a play on words, honestly. And she knows what she's doing.
What does that disaster look like?
Excuse me, bankruptcy. I mean, we have rent-stabilized buildings right now selling per apartment for less than the price of a new SUV, and that is credit to Sia Weaver's work back in the legislature in 2019. She is now coming in to sort of put out that fire. She's the arsonist. She's the arsonist that has put these tenants in bankrupted buildings, in the buildings that Mayor Mamdani has gone on his first day in office, looking at peeling tile in the apartments. These buildings are falling apart because they have been defunded per the law that Sia had supported and Mayor Mamdani also supports back in 2019. And they're only going further down this road.
So here's the plan I see them kind of rolling out here, and it's very insidious, but it's part of what you said. So you don't let them pay for maintenance in these buildings. Hence, you have maintenance problems. You have, I mean, really probably awful places to live. The city comes in and says, these are awful places to live. If you don't improve them, then we're going to take it over, or you're going to have to sell it in order to get out of the mess. And then, of course, the city council, it sounds like, is ready to tee up a new law that says if you sell your building, you got to give one of these kind of Sia Weaver-led nonprofits first crack at buying it. That's, I mean, it may not be extortion, but it's pretty dang close to it.
I mean, it's a pretty nefarious.
It's a con, it's a scam. It's a scam. It's like saying we get first dibs when you get ready to sell because we pressured you into selling. And then I got to give you first dibs on it. That means you got to get the first bank. You get to send in the offer before anybody else, and you know also where I'm at. So you know I'm distressed and I got to sell at this point. The biggest scam I've seen before.
Plan here, right? But they don't understand. It's sort of like the dog that caught the car. You know, they've made this bed and now they're in City Hall. They can't manage NYCHA. NYCHA is 174,000 apartments across the city of New York. Rent stabilization is 1 million. So they have now made these apartments effectively bankrupt with no path to saving the 2-point-something million tenants who live within them. So there's no capability for the city between cash and capacity and capability to actually manage these buildings. So it's going to be interesting to see what path they go.
Well, it's the path of just devastation of people's living quarters. I mean, I've lived in New York until I moved to New Jersey not long ago for 3 decades, for 30 some odd years. And public housing is a nightmare. And that literally is the path that these people want for New Yorkers because they control it. It is not about affordability. It is about power and control.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big thing that I took on when I was a state lawmaker in the Assembly back when I was elected with Zohran Mamdani in 2020, right? Was addressing affordability. I am and was a Democrat. I represented the Southeast Bronx. But I recognize you don't do this through catchphrases and ideology. Since these laws have been passed, what have we seen? Rents have increased in New York City. Our vacancy rate is 1.4%. We're seeing lower quality of housing. We're seeing the violations go higher and higher. Right. So we have to look at the metrics here. We can't judge policy on intention. We have to judge it on results. And the results are showing it's not working.
Well, Kenny, you're fighting against it. We'll keep up.
It's going to rent, like property is going to get worse up there. The condition of property is going to get worse. It's not going to make the situation better. It's actually going to make the situation worse, a whole lot worse. But I guess I'm kind of wondering. I think personally that's the scheme. I personally believe that's the scheme. We make it hard for landlords to own so we can take the property back. And honestly, they believe once they're in New York, and they're in New York now and running New York, it's going to take like an act of God or something very, very detrimental, like something big to kick them out of power. It really is. Their mindset right now is if we can take anybody's property and we can convert it, we can do a better job than the landlords. But I keep saying you made it hard for the landlords to even do what they do, you know?